Hello again, everybody. Steve Wilder, Sorensen Wilder and Associates, along with Dan Wilder. Welcome to another edition of Tidbits of Safety. In today's edition, we're going to be talking a little bit about security issues that our long-term care facilities are facing during these unique and challenging times. And Dan, I think talking to our clients, we're hearing some pretty unique things that are somewhat, I guess we'll call them unique to this kind of an environment that we've never been in before.
It is. It's very unique, Steve. The people that are working there for the first time are facing shortages of supplies of their house. The grocery stores can't keep toilet paper, Kleenex, hand soap, alcohol wipes, all of those things on the shelves. People are panicked, they're scared, and they're making irrational decisions.
One of our in-house clients that I talked to last week called it in-house looting. No, I said one of our in-house clients. One of our long-term care clients that I talked to last week called it in-house looting, and that was a term that just caught me totally off guard. You know, when I think about looting, I think about times of civil unrest and community unrest, and I picture somebody throwing a brick through a appliance store window and stealing a TV. I'm not thinking about people who are taking things home from the workplace because they're desperate for them to take care of their own families. So that is a unique challenge that some of our clients have told us they're facing. But how do we minimize that? I mean, empathy definitely notwithstanding here. These people want to take care of their families. They want to take care of their residents at the same time. But how do we minimize that loss so that we know we've got enough to take care of our residents in the workplace?
Well, the use of technology will help with that. Keeping doors locked, utilizing access control if you have it. Otherwise, keeping the facility doors secured. Limiting the access to the people who have items such as toilet paper or items that are now becoming invaluable. Keeping those secured in a remote room with limited access would go a long way to help that.
Who'd have ever thought that toilet paper would become such a hot item, or paper towels, or that we would need rubber gloves to go to the grocery store? These are such face masks for that matter.
That's
This is just so unheard of. And you mentioned, just locking doors. People, we think of technology and we think all the fancy bells and whistles, but a lock and key is a form of technology.
It's a simple way to do it, but it's something that we look at when we go to any facility. We look at how they lock their doors and how they keep these items safe. And in the past, everybody has always looked at me kind of odd when I say, how do you control who has access to your bottled water, or who has access to your soda, or who has access to your toilet paper? And I've always gotten weird looks. But I think people are going to start listening to us a little bit clearer on that now.
I believe you're absolutely right on that one. One of the other hot topics that really does concern me, and we talk with and work with a lot of law enforcement agencies, and it seems like in the last few weeks when we're talking with these friends in law enforcement, one of the common things we're hearing from them is a spike in the number of domestic violence calls that they're responding to. And we're seeing domestic violence more now than ever before because of the simple fact that people are caged in their homes, and you can only spend so much time together, and then pressure starts to build, and before long you just, no matter what you do, it's the wrong thing, and it becomes a very bad environment. And we have heard of cases of domestic violence finding its way into the workplace as well. And when I think about that, Dan, I think about the spouse who shows up in the workplace, or the significant other who shows up in the workplace because they just can't stand being cooped up in that house anymore. But I also think about the pressures in the workplace on coworkers together, the pressure they're facing because at the end of their shift they don't want to go home to that, so they start snapping at each other as well. How do we deal with these issues of domestic violence like that?
Well, again, we're going back to keeping your doors locked and keeping the perimeter in the building on lockdown so people who don't belong can't get in. So if you do have that spouse who has not been working, who is deemed non-essential, a word I never thought I'd use, but that non-essential employee who's sitting at home with nothing better to do than to partake in liquid courage,
That's right. That's happening.
begins to think about, you know what, if I just go in and confront my wife at work, maybe she won't come home. Or maybe if I do this, she won't come home. Maybe this will be the best way for me. Keeping those people out of your building. So we need a good EAP program to help us or help our employees when they're facing these times saying, you know what, I just don't want to go home. I know it's going to be a horrible night.
You know, here we're sitting here shooting this on what is today, Wednesday? Shooting it on Wednesday.
I've been in a cage for a month.
Yeah, you could have 7 Mondays right now. You could have 7 Saturdays. We wouldn't know the difference. But we're sitting here on a Wednesday shooting this, and I talked this morning to a colleague who is an EAP counselor, and that was one of the things that she really pounded home. You know, people need to be talking right now. This is, you know, on a national level. Everybody is dealing with something they've never dealt with before. And different people react to the stress different ways, different people react to the fear different ways. And you need to, your point is so great, Dan. People need to be talking to their EAP counselor. That's what that service is out there for. It's not a sign of weakness to use it. You know, one of the other things that I think about too is the physical plant. People from the outside trying to get in, knowing that there are supplies in there, knowing that there are things in there that they might need in their own homes, and feeling that their back's against the wall. When we talk about physical plant security, what are some of the things that these folks can be doing to what we in the industry call harden the perimeter?
Well, I've touched on it a few times, and I'm going to be known after this as the lock guy, but keep your doors locked. Have somebody, whether it's security officers that are on site, or maintenance people, or somebody who's there who's not taking care of a patient or a resident, do patrols of the parking lot. Make sure that your doors are locked. Make sure that we haven't propped open a door, because we're still having residents, and residents still can make bad decisions, and they say, I'm going to prop open this door so my son can come see me.
Good point.
So make sure those doors don't get propped open. Utilize your camera systems. For a long time, we have had camera systems installed that we spend the money on, and then we walk away from them and we never look at them again. Now might be a good time to start watching those camera systems and just keep the cameras up on the screen when we're doing other things.
Yeah, and we visited so many of your facilities over the years now that we know that that camera system is there, that it works, that it's a good system, but nobody's monitoring it. Now is the time to be having it monitored by somebody as much as you can. If you've got to put a monitor at a nurse's station, great. If you've got to put a monitor at a reception desk, great. But have somebody watching that camera now more than ever, because when you start getting people coming around the property that don't belong there, that's trespassing. And you don't know what their intent is. So you know, we need to make sure that we're minimizing the opportunity for something to happen.
Yeah, and you say put it at one of these places. I say put it at all of these places.
Yeah, that's great if you've got the
Because
capabilities, yeah.
If my system is an IP system, which most of the ones that I've seen recently are, then we can use those systems and we can put them up on 8 or 10 different monitors, allowing 8 or 10 different people to watch them when they have time. And I might miss it, but Steve may see it. So we want to take that opportunity and more eyes out on the scenario or out of the field, we'll be better off.
Yeah, great points. Well, gang, that about does it for this edition of Tidbits of Safety. I think you can watch this.
Steve, there's one other thing that I wanted to just bring up real quick while we have everybody's attention, and that is the use of private security. Some of us have security officers, well trained, well utilized. Others don't and have always used maintenance. If the need arises for a private security contract, we need to start looking at it soon. There's a lot of really good private security contractors out there, but they're all being overwhelmed. And with supply and demand comes increased cost and difficulties in getting good people in there. So we want to make sure that if you're on the fence about private security and thinking, do I need it? Maybe you get it going right now, and then when you don't need it, you get rid of it. But
yeah, and there's a lot of misconceptions about what private security is going to do for you. Remember that most of them are observe and report, meaning they're going to create an environment of visibility, meaning that they are visible on the property, and that right there becomes a deterrent. And if they see anything out of the ordinary, they're going to report it to the police. They're not going to get in people's faces. They're not going to be a threat to your customer service program or your public relations program or anything like that. They are there to be eyes and ears and to be a front line of deterrence. So yeah, great point, Dan. I appreciate you bringing that up. Well, gang, this about does it for another edition of Tidbits of Safety. I think watching these, you can tell these aren't rehearsed, these aren't scripted. This is just Dan and myself sitting here talking about topics that our clients are saying are challenging them right now, and we want to share some ideas with you. So we hope they're of value to you. I think you know that we're there for you all the time. Our offices right now are the same as many. We're closed down. We're all working from home, but our 24-hour crisis hotline is available. Please feel free, if you have questions or thoughts or concerns, call us. That 24-hour line is 800-568-2931, and the answering service will take the call and they will forward it to us right away, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible.
Well, I think that wraps it up. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Stay safe and stay in touch.